Tell us about the company. Tell us what you'd like people to know about your company and so on.
Well, we're company's Intellistone. It's in Franklin, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Nashville, Tennessee. It's in a very hot and growing market right now. Company was founded in 2009. I became affiliated with it in 2018, and we all we do is countertops. We don't do any kind of tile work or cabinetry or anything like that. But we service mainly custom builders, remodelers, and retail. We don't do any big box stores. We don't really do any production builders. We have a few that would be kind of the smaller production builders, but our wheelhouse is the custom home builder, the high-end remodeler, and the homeowner.
Okay, so are you doing primarily stone and solid surface, or
all stone? Yeah,
all stone.
Yeah,
okay.
Natural stone and quartz. We don't do any solid surface.
Okay, so you pretty much get to drive to this thing in Nashville.
I do. Yeah, it's right down the road. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. That's terrific. I guess it's Ed you've been working with, right?
Yeah, work with Ed Hill. Absolutely.
Yeah. What finally connected you with Ed? What was the problem that you were trying to overcome?
Well, when the company was founded in 2009, we had some really fairly strong growth. And then when I became affiliated with it in 2018, it was in a point in time where this market the top just kind of blew off of it. And so we had some really aggressive growth over the last 5 years. And we were at a point where everything was just, we were doing good work, we were putting out good quality, and everything on the surface and from the outside looked really good. But when you pulled back the curtain, things were a little chaotic. And so inside the shop, we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. If nothing went wrong, everything was great. But as soon as something went wrong, it really just kind of threw a wrench in our whole process. And so we, it was a stressful time, chaotic time. And so I had heard about Synchronous Solutions and Synchronous Flow from other fabricators. I would go on fabricator tours with various industry groups, and I can remember being in Chicago and hearing a guy on the stage talk about their shop and how they've been using Synchronous Flow and working with Synchronous Solutions, and they say, hey, if you haven't done this or you're not doing this, you need to really check it out. And so that was I'm a slow learner. That was like 4.5 years ago. And so I started doing some research and just got on the website, started looking at I had no idea what Synchronous Flow was, much less who Synchronous Solutions was. And so I just started doing some research, ran across someone recommended the book, The Goal. And so read that book. And then I'm part of the Rockheads organization.
Okay.
And so a couple of years ago, we were at a conference in we were in Austin, Texas, at a conference, and I met Ed. It's the first time I ever met Ed. And the way that conference was set up is we were able to spend a lot of time together, just talking business, talking life. And over the course of those few days, he kind of explained the process of Synchronous Solutions, and it made a lot of sense to me. And had a good friend in the business who had used Synchronous Solutions and Ed for a number of years. So I reached out to him and I called him. I was like, what do you think? And he said, hands down, it's the best business decision I've ever done in my business, in the history of my business. So that's all it took. And so that afternoon,
could you speak into the microphone, please?
I can. I do. Oh yeah. So, but yeah, literally, I reached out to Ed and Synchronous Solutions after that phone call. Got the ball rolling, and that was the summer of 21, I think. So, yeah,
summer of 21. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Been rolling ever since.
Can you kind of give me this is where we were back then, and this is where we are now in terms of size, flow, however you would describe your business. I mean, it sounds like you were going through some serious growth pains.
Yeah, and we were going through some major growth pains, and the really what, and listen, Synchronous Flow it was a change in philosophy. It was a change in thought process. It was a change in the way that we looked at our business and our operations. And it was it wasn't really a culture shift, but it kind of was. I mean, we kind of had to change the way, if we wanted to do this and get behind it, we really had to change what we were doing, because what it did is, once the team grasped the idea, and then once we put it into place, really in our workflow, in our production workflow, is where we've seen the best or the most, I guess, change, because it's smoother, it's calmer. There's nobody's freaking out in the fabrication floor. Beforehand, we just had guys running from station to station to station, had no music playing. Everybody was kind of busting their tail to get it out by the end of the day. Sometimes we were running late. Now we got music playing. Guys are, still doing their work, but it's much, Synchronous Flow talks about level loading. And they talk about, kind of reducing the chaos, and both of those things occurred for us. So we don't really have the spikes up and down in our production workflow, and we don't really have a lot of chaos. If we do have chaos, it's usually self-inflicted. We just didn't do something, we didn't pay attention to something or something right, but it wasn't, the chaos is not really, the amount of business is not driving the chaos. It's our own stupidity drives the chaos now. So, but we're trying to correct that as well. But yeah, so it's, we were, previously we'd go template something, and it could be 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before we'd go install it. And a lot can happen between that period of time.
Oh, yeah.
When we started working with Synchronous Solutions, one of the first things we did is decide what kind of workflow we wanted to go to. And we went to a 6-day workflow. So template to install, 6 days. So today is Friday. Everything that we're templating today, we're installing next Friday.
Right.
Now, the lead time up to that template could be a few weeks, depending on our workload. But once we measure it, we're in there the next week in 6 business days. And so that has really, it puts everything on a schedule, and it allows us to, we hold meetings every morning. They're called buffer meetings, which is a unique, as part of the Synchronous Solutions plan. And we talk about where jobs are in that process. And if they're not where they're supposed to be, why? And let's get them back on track. It takes 10, 15 minutes every morning. To be honest, when we were first explaining that, it was a little daunting. We're like, oh gosh, we're going to meet every morning, and talk about all the jobs in progress. But it's really, it's one, invaluable. Like, we'll never go away from it. And it's really not that arduous. I mean, we get our team together, everybody's in the flow, we knock it out, and we identify the issues before they become issues, which really helps with chaos and stress and stuff. The overall stress level of the organization is definitely down from where it was, which is a good thing.
Excellent. I'm a practitioner as well, although very part-time now, because I've kind of retired. But I'm curious, did you find that, I mean, everything that we've talked about up to this point has to do with the operations side of the business, workflow, scheduling, product management.
Mm-hmm.
But did you see any impact on the way you were pricing your business and where you positioned yourself in the market? And I mean, because you're pretty narrowly focused, right? You're doing high-end builder business. But did you find that your abilities in Synchronous Flow then changed your perspective of how you addressed your market?
Well, yeah, sure. It kind of, we never really paid attention to throughput before we started talking to, when I read the book and talked to some people, I kind of dabbled around with what throughput was, but never really took it seriously. And it never really had anything to do with our pricing and how we we priced out jobs. And so now looking at throughput, running reports on throughput, having throughput part of an indicator of how we operate has allowed us to see. And yeah, we changed our pricing based on a throughput model. More, it helped us realize that in some areas we were underpriced, and so we needed to take throughput into consideration to price adequately. And so, commercial jobs, we started pricing out on a multifamily. We started pricing out on a throughput basis, using that as a factor. We started looking at we do have a square foot program, but in setting those price tiers, we utilized a throughput as much as we could to set those price tiers and trying to get the best margin that we can, and that our market will allow us to get.
I'm curious. This is also a question for me.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a change in the marketplace right now? Aside from the normal annual cycle, are you seeing more sensitivity, more demand, less demand?
Slower to make decisions. So for us, our quote volume is up there with where it was this time last year. So now,
well, that's good.
Yeah, well, the volume's there, but people tend to be doing some smaller projects. Pricing is becoming a little more of a factor. Pricing is always a factor, but it wasn't the leading factor a lot of times. Now it's becoming more of a leading factor. So our quotes tend to be a little bit smaller than they were last year, not by a lot. The volume's up. The pricing is a little bit less, but they're slower to make decisions. So whether that means they're shopping more, we really hadn't gotten a handle on it yet. But our sales order flow is working. It's almost even of what it was last year. I came into 2023 that if we could be even to 2022, then that's a win for us. And so that's kind of our philosophy is with interest rates and mortgage rates and access to cash and all that stuff more expensive, we figured that if we could at least stay level, then we're in a pretty good position. And so far so good. Obviously we're only 2.5 months into the year, but as of now, all our leading indicators are fine. It's just one thing we are noticing is that people are taking a little bit longer time to make a decision than they have in the past. So whether they ever make that decision or just delaying it, we'll see.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that are kind of jittery right now, not really sure. The price of money keeps going up, and so that's reasonable. Well, listen, I understand you're going to be one of our panelists at the Elevate Forum.
That's what I'm told.
Okay, and that's Nashville, driving distance from your home.
Yeah, not far.
April 3rd, and I really want to thank you for that. There will be people watching this video, and they can click on the link to connect to more information about the Elevate conference.
Okay.
And so we really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. It's Synchronous Flow, Synchronous Solutions, and the Synchronous Flow in that process. I would mirror what my buddy said. I mean, it's one of the best decisions that we've made in this company, and it's set us on a course and a path that I think if we had kept going the way we were, operating the way we were, we'd run off a whole lot of people. There'd be a lot of burnout. We would end up making a lot of mistakes, and which would have tarnished our reputation and where we stand in the industry. And so it's Synchronous Solutions and Synchronous Flow and Ed is a big part of where we are today, able to have less chaos, less stress, more of an even keel day in our production, and producing a product in a timely manner that our customers really appreciate. So we think the world of it.
Wonderful. Well, Todd, I thank you very much for your time today.
My pleasure. Yeah.
And I hope that the Nashville experience works very well for you.
I look forward to it. Yeah, definitely.
All right.